Good afternoon from BPAA here in Arlington, Texas. The entire staff of BPAA hope you're fighting through this pandemic we're going through. We have states that still aren't even open, but we wish you the best. Everybody here at the staff is pulling for bowling to get back sooner than later. We came out with this best practices for leagues coming out of COVID just to try to help. We're not trying to direct a 4-laner or an 80-laner. What we're trying to do is give you some ideas to push forward and floor those leagues. Leagues, an integral part of our business every day. And so what we're hoping is this will stimulate conversation. It's great we're sold out for today's virtual classroom, which I think might have to be a weekly thing going forward, we hope. But anything you need, if you don't see it today, you don't see it in this document, pick the phone up and call us. And if anything, call a good friend. Call a friend in the business and ask them. This is a time for friendship, peers, communication, and working together. Good luck with the virtual classroom today. Good luck with the education team. And we're all pulling for you here at BPAA. Anything you all need, anything, we're a phone, a call, or an email away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank, and good morning, everybody on the West Coast. Good afternoon on the East Coast, wherever you're joining us. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule. A few housekeeping items before we get into the detail, the meat of today's presentation. As you can see, Frank is not with us here in the studio. He's here at the campus, but we, of course, are practicing our social distancing. We have a full group in the virtual classroom. We also are pushing this content out on Facebook, so thank you for those that have joined us on Facebook, also on YouTube, and also on our website as well. And if you're in the classroom, I just want to point out one thing for you. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a couple of tabs. You can do the chat feature, and that chat feature allows you to interact with each other. And unlike your typical classroom where we ask you to be quiet and pay attention, I'm encouraging you to interact and learn from each other. So don't be afraid to chat during the presentations. You will not hurt my feelings. This is really about how you get the information. It doesn't matter who gets it to you. If you would like to submit a question to somebody here at the campus, one of the education team, or to Frank or myself, and there's another tab there for questions. Questions will go directly to us. The chat feature will interact with everybody else there. We have Kelly from our team that's monitoring that feed, so please feel free to interact there. If you're joining us on Facebook, we have somebody from our team, JK. Please feel free to submit your questions there. JK will be interacting and also answering those questions as well. And in the event that we have a question that we can't answer for you at this time, we certainly will get that information to you and follow up afterwards there. So let's get going. As Frank mentioned, these are some challenging times, and one of the things that is prominent on a lot of our minds is this idea of flooring leagues during this COVID-19. So we went out and did some surveys with about 16 to 18 proprietors like yourself, and also mixed that in with some of the best practices that we've been teaching over the years here at the university, and we want to share those with you. So just kind of some opening thoughts to get us together, kind of level set before we get started. It goes without saying, this COVID-19, it's changed the dynamics of how we operate our business, really like never before. And most importantly, for one of our most important products, this thing called league bowling. And again, what we're going to share with you today are merely suggestions, merely ideas, and they're really a culmination, most importantly, of what you've been doing. Again, 16 to 18 of you around the country that we had a chance to do some pretty in-depth interviews to learn what was going on over the last couple of weeks. And then if you've attended a Bowling University management program anytime in the last year, 10 years for that matter, and leagues has been on that agenda, I promise you we've talked about some of these things, but they just absolutely are more imperative now than they have ever been. So this is what we're going to cover today. We've got some best practices on league bowler communication. Also want to talk about league officer communication. This whole idea of how do we conduct league meetings in this environment. And then probably what most of you are interested in and we get the most questions about is suggested league formats and ideas. How do I navigate this COVID world? And then we'll wrap up with some safety and sanitation protocols that really kind of focus specifically on the league category. They would be good at any operating environment, but specific for this league guest. So those are the things that we're going to be covering. Again, if you have questions, Facebook, type those in the chat or the question feature in the virtual classroom, type those in, and we'll be ready to go. Now, got to kind of put up my legalese slide here. We absolutely recommend that you continue to monitor and follow guidance to comply with all federal, state guidelines. We're going to share with you some things today that they may be not in line with executive orders that you have in your facility right now, and that's okay. We just want to share those with you. We certainly are not advocating that you violate any state or county executive orders. And then, of course, again, these best practices we're going to share with you. They're from many states, proprietors, many states around the country, various jurisdictions, various best practice. Not all of them are absolutely going to be applicable to you. And then, again, this is not the intent or recommendation that you try to execute all of these. That's not what we're hoping to do here. It's just not practical. You're a small business operator, as Frank mentioned. You look for us for guidance and suggestions, but you don't want us to tell you what to do. And then you really should make these decisions, that are best for your individual center. So now I want to share with you there are basically 3 groups of folks that you're going to be coming in contact with, going forward there. And you know this, but maybe you just haven't thought about it in this way. Group number 1, they are your diehards. They are the people that are ready to go, ready to bowl, no matter what the circumstances. You know who those folks are. They were the people that were in line the first day that you opened, ready to get back to business there. The second group, they're those that do not want to bowl no matter what until there's a vaccine. And I'll tell you, this if one thing we've learned, this virus, this COVID-19, has been polarizing. And it's not that it's right or wrong, and not that one position is good or bad, but there are people that are just not going to participate in any type of activities until there's a vaccine. And the vaccine doesn't even have to be 100% effective. We just have to have the vaccine for that group to feel comfortable. You're not going to change those folks' minds. Don't try to. They also are a small group. The biggest group and the most important group for us is those that are unsure. They're the largest group. They're the people that are in the middle. They're not sure whether they should join that group that wants to bowl, or they're not sure whether they should be cautious and stay home and not participate in anything outside. This is the group that you have an opportunity to influence. And it is our hope, by us sharing these things with you, these ideas, these best practice, what fellow proprietors are doing around the country, that you absolutely can start to sway this group. You're not going to change the mind of those folks that are coming in no matter what. You're not going to change the mind of those folks that are not going to come in until there's a vaccine. You want to focus on that middle group. It's the largest group, and it's the one that you can influence there. Now, I want to start with kind of this shock therapy slide. We actually had a lot of discussion with our team. The League Development Committee helped us put this together and reviewed this as well. And this is a little provocative and it's a little in your face, but let me unpack it and we'll share some things, and hopefully this will make sense by the time we're done with our time together. As an operating strategy, if you've not already taken control of your leagues, COVID has reminded us that we must take control of our most important product, our league bowler. It's time to take back operating control of your leagues. You own the playing field. Now, again, I'm going to unpack that. League officers are important. I'm going to share with you why. League officers serve a value. I'll share with you why. But what we've been reminded of, and this is your fellow proprietors telling us during the interviews, you can't let somebody else have control of your most important guests. You want their help. You want their guidance, you want their support, but you can't depend on them. If you think about other businesses, there's virtually no other business that gives, in some cases, control of their most important guest, their most important asset, to a third party that has no financial interest. It just doesn't happen. We've been blessed for a lot of years where demand was in our favor of our product, and now that has changed. And COVID's just been a nice reminder. If you would have come to the management school 10 years ago, we would have told you the same thing. Take control of your leagues. Partner with your league officers. So I know that's a little in your face. It's meant to be, but let's walk that back and let's share some best practices. So here's the first thing I want to talk about. Communicating with league bowlers. There's those league bowler guests. What do I say to them? How do I say it to them during this time? First, data is king. If you're going to communicate with these league bowlers, you have to have the contact information to be able to speak to them. Email, phone number, address, any method you're going to use to contact them, you have to have that. Now, if you've been actively engaged with your league bowlers, you probably already have this, and it's great. If not, you need to contact your local USBC rep ASAP. It's critical. ASAP. As soon as you're done today with this session, contact them and get that information. You cannot connect with your most important guest if you do not have that information. So you've got to acquire that. You've got to get it. In the unlikely event that you have trouble securing that information, please reach out to us here at BPAA. You can reach out to any of the team, education at BPAA. You're not going to have any issues. Your local USPC wants to partner with you, but in the unlikely event that you can't connect with them, you can't get a hold of it. And look, you don't need this information next week. You need it by end of day. You need it immediately. Even if your location is closed, now's the time to be reaching out to these guests. You've got to capture, you've got to collect, you've got to be able to have access to the information quickly. So, once we have all that information, here's the strategy. Here's what you're sharing with us around the country. We want to call all those league bowlers before the league starts, not afterwards, not after the league meeting. We want to reach out to those guests before that league starts. And here's some things we want to share with them. We want to communicate with them what your center specifically is doing to be safe. And of course, you're going to be asking if they are returning for the fall season. Now, don't rely on the league officers. You may have had a traditional league on Thursday night that's 14 teams, and the league officer may say, hey, Bart, we're good. We got our 12 teams. We're a couple short. We'll fill them. And you would take that as the gospel and move forward. In this environment, don't rely on that. Don't rely on team captains. If you've been in this business, you know how this goes. You'll call a team captain, ask them if they're coming back. They'll say, yeah, all my guys are coming back on the team, and you'd mark that down as a full team. You can't do that in this environment. As I mentioned to you a moment ago, this virus is divisive. It's causing us to think differently, and it's not about being good or bad. But people that normally you think might behave or act a certain way are now thinking and behaving differently. And it's not bad, it's not good, it's just different. I spoke to an owner yesterday that said, Bart, there are people that I never would have thought in 20 years of being in business would not be comfortable league bowling that just said they're staying home. We need to know that. So verify that with each member. So we kind of use the adage, trust but verify. If a team captain says the team's coming back, or if an officer says the league's coming back, call that entire group. It's imperative that you do that. So we want to educate and communicate your league bowlers that very likely during this season there'll be a vaccine. I love this idea. This came from the field, this came from our interviews, and I think it's very forward-thinking. I think it's very positive. And if you think about the league season, it's going to start somewhere in that, late August to early September timeframe, and then it's going to end in April or May. That's a lifetime away. We need to give people hope. We need to let them know that what we're doing today is not the new norm. These are temporary modifications, and I believe that. We could end up being wrong, but we need to promote that. I love this forward thinking. So this particular group, when they communicate with their league bowlers, they're saying, this is what we're doing until a vaccine is brought to market. These are the changes we're making until a vaccine is brought to market. I think that's very powerful. It's very forward-thinking. It gives them a great sense of hope. And I put some stars by that one because that was gold for me when we interviewed that proprietor and they shared that with us. So some things we want to do with these league bowlers again. If you have the information, you've got to get the information. Email your league information to all those league bowlers. Many of you are now direct mailing again. You know, I kind of go back to the old school, the new school. The old school, we'd mail a flyer or a direct postcard to all of our league bowlers. In speaking with you, more and more of you are saying, you know what? I understand it's postage. I understand it's printing. This is critical, like no other kickoff ever. I need to know. I am going to direct mail a postcard to all of my league bowlers and understand that it's an operating cost in a time where I'm getting very little revenue. But I think it's a great decision, a great best practice to share with you. Here's a great one that we learned. Mail a first-class letter from ownership to all the league bowlers. And it's not selling them, it's updating them on what you're doing with the safety measures and then letting them know what kind of league formats that you're going to be offering. I thought this was another great nugget. So it wasn't just the email about join the league or the direct mail postcard about join the league. This was that connection with the community you serve as a manager, as an owner, whatever that relationship is, saying, we care about you, we value you, here's what we're doing to keep my team and all of you safe. And oh, by the way, here's the unique formats that we will either be offering or you'll have the opportunity to vote on. Now, a little side nugget on this is by mailing this first class, you will receive all of the return postage back, and that allows you to update your database and clean it so you can get rid of all those bad addresses there. So that's just an added value. Don't save a few pennies on this and try to send it bulk or standard. Send it first class, put a first class stamp on there. You're guaranteed to get it back. You can then cleanse your database. It will save you money in the future. You won't be wasting money for future mailings. Another great one, this actually came from Frank, our leader. When communicating to your league bowlers, focus on the square footage. Bowling takes up a lot of square footage, a lot of space. And oftentimes that's to our detriment. We have big buildings, takes up a lot of space, it's to cool it, to heat it, all those things. Now use that to your advantage. The average bowling center is approximately about 1,000 square feet per lane. So if you're not sure how many square feet your building is, take the number of lanes times 1,000. You could be a 10-lane center in a small community, and you can promote that you have 10,000 square feet of safe, clean, sanitized fun, which is amazing. If you're a 24-lane center, you can promote that you've got 24,000 square feet. You get the idea. Now, if you know your exact square footage, you of course can use that, but for the rest of us, take 1,000 times the number of lanes, use that to your advantage. Promote that you're a big box, you're a big building. You need all of those advantages to share with people. Remember, we're going after that middle group that's unsure. I'm never going to convince those folks far on the side that aren't coming into the vaccine. But how do I make that middle group sure and give them some comfort? And one of the ways to do that is to say we have 24,000 feet of safe, sanitized, fun, environment for you to be in and participate in league bowling. Now, if you've been calling before, this is really for you, but if you're maybe calling for the first time, something to be aware of, what we learned in our research was these calls are going to take much longer than normal, much longer. This is not just a call where you're saying, remind them about Wednesday night, meetings at 6:30, hope you can be here. This is a more detailed call because here's what you told us. Your guests want to know, what are you doing to keep them safe? And how are you going to handle this thing called social distancing? And how are you going to have a league format with social distancing? And how is that even possible? So they're asking these questions. Remember, these are the people that are the unsure group in the middle. Your diehards, they're coming in no matter what. You're completely not coming, they're not coming in until there's a vaccine. This middle group, you're going to need to spend a little more time with them. So plan on that extra time with the calling. And while this might seem like a absolute kind of blinding flash of the obvious, I want to remind you, call when the bowlers are able to talk, call when they're home. If you are calling your first shift evening leagues that start at between 6 and 7, you don't want to call them at 3 in the afternoon. You're not going to be able to even have a chance to connect with them. Call when that league is supposed to be taking place. You'll get a much better completion rate and a much better connection rate. Now, what we know today in our environment is have a voicemail script ready. I don't know about you, but in my house, first thing we do is we go look at the caller ID and see who's calling, and that determines whether or not we answer it and who's going to answer it. So many people do not answer their phone today. So it's important that you have a set script that's not too long, but communicates the key messages. I hate when I go back and listen to messages at home and somebody's left a 1-minute dissertation that I'm done after 15 seconds. Be concise, be clear, explain to them who you are, and why it's safe for you to come back and be a guest at your facility. So we'd also recommend you communicate your league efforts. I know many of you are doing it. I see this via social media. I love it. Now, you have a couple of decisions as an operator on how you're going to handle the formatting. And we're going to talk about formats in a few minutes because those are important. But it's important when you're communicating with your league bowlers, let them know. So if you're one of those that you've decided that you're going to let the league vote on how they want to handle social distancing, and maybe you give them 2 or 3 options, then it's important you let them know that. Let them know you're going to have a choice. We've identified 3 different formats that meet all of the CDC guidelines, all of the social distancing guidelines, and are applicable to all the county and state health regulations, and you're going to decide. If you're not, then you certainly are going to need to let them know what you're doing to keep them safe, but let them know what's going to be taking place ahead of time. One of the folks we interviewed shared with us that they said, Bart, this kickoff is more critical than ever before. Never has there been a kickoff more critical than this one. My managers and myself are calling the league bowlers. I'm not depending on a telemarketer or a league coordinator that is a wonderful person, but doesn't need to hear it. And they were going to be so involved with this kickoff this year versus other years that they wanted to hear from the voice of the customer, the voice of the guests themselves. They wanted to hear, the issues and the reasons why they weren't coming back or why they were coming back, what their concerns were. So unlike never before, they were having the GMs and the managers and the owners make those calls. And then offering league signups and incentive visit. Again, that middle group, that unsure group, how do you get them to come back and put their proverbial toe in the water, give you a chance, let you see what you're doing? Some of the locations out there, you're offering a little incentive to, hey, stop by and have a couple games on us there. So that is our first section on how we want to communicate with that league guest. I hope that if you've had some questions or some chat, you were able to submit those and get those out. But in prepping for the leagues, those are the things that we would share with you on making sure you're communicating with those league guests. Now I want to switch over to the next group, and that is those league officers. Now I started off with my shock slide and said, we should take control of our leagues, but taking control doesn't mean that you still don't engage these very important people. Let's take a little dive at what some of you are doing. So, let me say this. League officers are important to partner with on the league kickoff, but do not solely depend on them. Don't put your most important product in the hands of someone else. And I hope you'll look at that and understand that as it compares to the opening slide I had about you can take back control and still involve this very important group. Many of you are hosting league officer meetings. Maybe this is something that a couple years ago you got away from to save money or just didn't think they were effective or efficient. Many of you we spoke to said, hey, I'm getting back in the trenches. I'm doing that league officer meeting. I want to hear what they're hearing from their bowlers. I want to make them feel like VIPs without giving up control of my league, which is very, very different. Again, do not let league officers speak for the league. Don't let a league officer tell you the Thursday night mixed league is not bowling without you knowing personally what each of those league bowlers, what their feelings are and what they said. Second is do not let league officers make policy for the entire league without the league members voting. Very quickly, I'll share with you. I got a call the other day from a long-standing proprietor, 20 years plus, had a league officer that posted on Facebook that he had made the decision, the league officer had made the decision that his league would be wearing masks next year. Now, this was a part of the country that does not currently have a mask ordinance for employees or guests. It's totally optional, but because of his own personal view of the virus and how he feels about the virus, he had made the decision for his league that they were all going to wear masks no matter what. And, our point is, we value their opinion, but this is something the league should vote on. Again, we all are behaving and acting differently during these times, during this virus. So we've got to wrap our arms around, not let those folks make policy. And then, very important, do not let a league meeting happen without center management being in attendance. Even if this is a long-standing league that you have had in the past, don't let that happen in your facility without you. Too many times, if it's a league that's been in place for some time, it has, there's been a league meeting and then they come out and inform you of the results there. That's not what we want. We want to make sure that league meeting is happening with you in the facility. Do not let that happen, without you. All right, if a league does not bowl this season, and we just got a plan for that may happen. If a league, for whatever reason, does not bowl during the season, offer a similar league at the same time for those that did not want to bowl. It's very unlikely that everyone said no. Okay? And if you are following these steps that we're sharing with you, you will know who's planning to bowl and who has concern about bowling. But don't let, even if the league has a majority that says we're not comfortable now, or respect that. So if my example on Thursday night, I've got 14 teams and maybe 6 or 8 are not comfortable, if those other ones want to bowl to start the year, I'm going to let them. I'm probably going to be more flexible and do things that I haven't done before because I need to get those folks back and getting them participating in bowling there. And in partnering with your league officers, it's important to let them know in these unprecedented times, we are communicating directly with all bowlers. You might have a league that's been with you 20, 30 years that they do a great job, and you've always just said, went with whatever the league secretary told you. Now's not the year to do that. This is the year that you communicate directly with them well. And be honest with them and say, Judy, I'm going to call these league bowlers as well. It's important that we both connect with them. I'd rather have a bowler upset because we spoke to them too much than not at all. I'll take that call every day of the week as a manager to the owner. A league bowler says, Bart, I can't believe you called me and Judy called me. Why are you guys bothering me? Because we care. And because I care about my business too. So don't be afraid to reach out to those folks in this environment. So I want to share with you a couple of things on those league officers. They're important. I want to involve them in the process, whether that league has been with me for 20 days or 20 years, but I want to manage them and have them help me get to my end product there. We've got a couple slides, just a couple slides on league meetings, because a lot of us, candidly, we've been worried about the league format. We probably haven't spent a lot of time saying, well, wait a minute, I got to have this thing called a league meeting. Most of my footprint doesn't have a lot of meeting space. What am I going to do? So I want to share with you a few best practices on the idea of a league meeting. If it's a house league and they meet and bowl, have them meet and bowl the same night, host that meeting out on the lanes with proper distancing. Now I want to stop for a moment because I know we have some newbies, we have some new folks in our industry. We're glad to have them. It's a great time to some folks are getting involved. I love the passion. So for my newbies, a house league is a league that you form, you control. You still have league officers, you still have USBC, you're still involved with those folks, but it's your league that you're kind of running from soup to nuts. We refer to that, our industry jargon, as a house league. A more of a legacy league or traditional league would be one that maybe has been with you 10, 15, 20 years. It started out maybe as a corporate league like Boeing, and then over the years just kind of migrated to people from the center that have been with you. But in a house league that you're controlling, there's no reason to meet one week and then start the next. If you're new to our industry, you say, well, why do you meet one week and start the next? We've done it that way for 40 years. Nobody knows why. Okay? So this group want to meet and bowl that same week. If you're going to allow the league to decide, give them 2 or 3 options on how they can social distance. Don't let them decide that night, figure out what they want to do. If you're going to let the league decide, that's great, but come to them with 3 options. To that league to say, league, I've got 2 options, I've got 3 options. These are all approved. We can all execute these. Our team is ready to go. Which majority will rule? Which one would you like to do? That may be an option that you decide. If you are determining the league format as the owner and operator of the facility, which is totally fine, then you got to answer the why it's safe and why it's a great option. So you may go into that league meeting and say, bowlers, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, it's safe and it's going to be great, and here's where we're going to go. What we saw in our interviews, what we saw from the research was the more capacity you have, the least amount of league bowlers I have, the more flexible you are in letting the league decide. Some of you that are traditional league houses and you're trying to maximize revenue and maximize lane inventory, you absolutely are more likely to come up with a scenario that is more advantageous to you. And we're going to share that in just a minute when we talk about league formats. And don't be afraid, even on those legacy leagues, even on those 20, 30-year leagues that have been with you, don't be afraid to push back the meeting date and the start date. We get caught into doing business like we've always done it. Well, guess what? It's a different world out there. So just because your league has always met and started the 3rd week of August or the first Monday after Labor Day doesn't mean it has to. If you need more time, if putting things off for 2 weeks will allow you to have a better outcome and allow more leagues to floor than not floor, then that might be something you want to look at. So we did have some folks that said, hey, I'm pushing back the dates a little bit. and it's turning some of those traditional folks upside down because their world, we always start the third week of August, but it's going to be okay. It's okay to push those dates back. It's okay to push that back. We just got to be flexible. We got to think differently than we ever have before about this product. If it's not a house league, one of those legacy leagues that I mentioned there, and they want to host a traditional meeting, right, and they want to do it a week before, that's okay. But do it on the lanes. It's important that all bowlers are in the meetings, not just the team captains. Remember I talked about how this is divisive. You might have a team of a mixed league of two couples, and one couple may be absolutely not comfortable with bowling if you pick this option, and one couple may say, I'm perfectly okay. You do not want the team captains voting on what's going to happen for the whole league. In pre-COVID, in our traditional times, the team captain would go in because all you're voting on is how much you pay, number of points, handicap, things of that nature. They'd come out and tell the team and they'd say, okay, even if you didn't like it, you'd say, okay, it wasn't a thing that made you quit. But if that voice of every league bowler is not heard, there's an opportunity they may say, I'm not comfortable. I thought I could do this. I thought I was going to bowl. Now I can't do that. So don't let just the team captains dictate that policy. Have that league meeting. Make sure everybody in there have a voice. This is the year to make sure your messaging and your communication is heard. Now, if you're going to do that, meet one week and then bowl the next, then some of the folks are doing free bowling after the league meeting to, number one, get them comfortable, get them in bowling, let them see the changes you made, and then just to encourage attendance. Because look, there's not a lot of fun that happens in a league meeting, and there's not a lot of things you say, gosh, I can't wait, Wednesday I'm going to my league meeting. It's just one of those things we have to do. But maybe you throw in a little free bowl in or something to get them back in and welcome them back, just to ease that transition that we've had like no other there. And then again, I mentioned this, but I want to share this again. Management, ownership, you've got to host or at a minimum attend all those league meetings. Even if you have one of those traditional legacy leagues that's meeting off-site, do not let a group decide the fate of your most important product and they have no financial vested interest in your building. Doesn't mean they don't care. Doesn't mean they don't like you. Doesn't mean they don't like the product. But at the end of the day, if the Thursday night mixed league doesn't bowl, does it really change their world? Now, they might be disappointed, but the answer to that is no. But for you as an operator, as a manager, does it change your world if that Thursday night league doesn't bowl? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. So it matters. You've got to be involved in those league meetings. You've got to have a voice. And for that legacy league that's been 20, 30 years, you're not going to dictate and get in and run the league meeting, but you're sure going to be there to make sure that something's said or voted on and make sure your point of view or your options are fully discussed. It's critical. Every year, I get at least a couple of calls from centers and proprietors that have a league issue, and when we work back from what happens, it boils down to something was decided at the league meeting and nobody from the center was there to represent them. And they voted on it and passed it, and now they want to know what to do. It's critical, even more critical than ever now in this current environment. So at this meeting, we want to communicate with all these league bowlers what we're doing at the center to keep them safe. And then here's another kind of out-of-the-box option for you to think about. Some of you that are watching, I know Frank mentioned it, you're in maybe one of those 5, 6 states that don't have bowling open. I mean, we're praying for you. We're hoping that gets resolved soon. I believe you're going to have a league season, just don't know when, but you are going to have one. But here's something that you might even want to think about, and that is get creative. And those of you that are closed, maybe you can still host a league meeting in the parking lot, host a league officer thing in the parking lot, grab a grill from home, put some burgers and hot dogs on the grill, stay connected with those league bowlers, let them know everything's going to be okay, let them know that a vaccine is coming and that, this is temporary. And so I love that kind of out-of-the-box idea, wanted to share that with you. So that's our thoughts on this whole thing of league meetings. Now, what most of you probably are most interested in, and the questions we get the most is, how do I social distance? What are the formats? What are we going to do? This whole idea of, do we have to have a lane open and all of that. So let's dive into this and share what some of you are doing. But let me say one thing. The USBC has been very proactive in coming up with creative formats as far as rules to allow you to operate virtually in any type of format you want. So you really have the freedom to design any format you want, as long as, your real item you need to deal with now is, What can I do that's within the county guidelines or the state guidelines as it relates to what government has said I have to do to keep my staff and keep my guests safe? That's really the factor now, not USBC in the format and, well, it's got to be cross-lane, it's got to be these things. USBC has amended those rules to give you the power to do what you need to do. So let's jump right in. Now, I love this one. This came out of one of our interviews, and this should be our mantra for all of us. I can't take credit for this. It's not my idea, but I am going to absolutely steal it. Understand this. Good lane courtesy is social distancing. I want you to say that out loud. I want you to say it to whoever you're sitting next to, because if you start to communicate that to your league guest, the people that are your regular league bowlers, they get that. Again, a newbie, you're like, lane courtesy, what's that? But know this. Good lane courtesy is social distancing. That's how I would start off every league meeting. That's what I would be preaching from the rooftop, letting folks know that, hey, good lane courtesy is social distancing, and here's the extra steps how we're going to get there. Love it. Can't take credit. Came from you. I think it's brilliant. So with that, we can create natural social distancing by using our concourse and our bowlers area. Remember, we have large footprints. Most of us, some of you, we've got some challenges, but we'll work through those. But where you can, you've got some natural social distancing, and we're going to share some examples how you can use that. Now, as far as format, be flexible. And this is where you have to get those league officers to be flexible. Be flexible with the length of season. Don't just, because you've been running the league for 30 years this way, think thirds, think halves. Allow new bowlers to join anytime during the league season, and that's a key one. You know this. As an operator of centers, I knew that I probably had 2 weeks, maybe 3 if the league secretary liked me, to find teams to fill out odd number teams. So my Thursday example, 14-team league, 13 teams show up in week 1. If I have one lane that sits for a whole season, that is you can do the math, that's a tremendous amount of lost profit that I'm never going to get back. It's lost inventory I'm never going to use. So if I all of a sudden show up on week 4 with a team and tell the secretary, hey, great news, I found a new team, and the secretary says, oh, we're already in week 4, we can't take any more teams. That's going to mess up the wins and losses. How are we going to do the pre-bowls and the makeups? We can't do that, let's wait. And again, they're trying to do what they think's best for the league. You're trying to do what's best for the business. So you've got to be able to add those bowlers and add those teams at any time, not in that traditional standpoint there. So let those leagues be flexible. Also be flexible with pre-bowling and post-bowling. I know it's a headache. I got to tell you, counter folks, if we got any folks that work the counter, I know you hate pre and post bowling almost as much as you dislike birthday parties. They're disruptive to the flow, disruptive to the business. They're hard to manage. I get all that. But be very flexible with that group. You've got to let people be able to do that anytime. Remember, I'm trying to influence that group that's unsure. And if I can get a portion of that group that's unsure, and I'm flexible with them and I say, hey, right now, until there's a vaccine, we're going to let you pre-bowl and post-bowl anytime. Come in when no one's here, come in when it's comfortable, and when things settle down, jump back in when you're ready. We've just got to do things we've never done before. And yes, it's going to be more work. And yes, it's going to be more headaches. But the alternative is not good. And then here's a unique one that came out of the research is be flexible with members per team until a vaccine is available. And here's what this center shared with me is, let's say, for example, that you have a 5-member men's league. It's a nice competitive men's league. But in this environment, they are deciding which 3 bowlers bowl each week. So that trios allows better social distancing. You can operate within the guidelines of your facility. So that might be an option. Again, it's not the best option because you're missing out on 2 bowlers that might be eating, drinking, do other things. But if it's a difference between them being with you and not being with you, it could be critical there. Love that idea. Here's one option, and this is what I know a lot of you are doing that, actually these next 2 options I'll share with you are what a lot of people are doing that have limited capacity and you've got a strong league base and you want to maximize revenue, not lose anything, have any empty lanes, and that is this. You're conducting league bowling as normal. Remember, good lane courtesy is social distancing. So in this example, we're taking the odd team on the odd lane is assigned to the bowlers area. The team on the even lane is assigned a table or an area on the concourse. The 2 shall not mix, but we still bowl cross lane. That allows you to do social distancing, again, within the guidelines that your state and county have. If you need a little bit more room and the group is maybe not comfortable with that, here's a slight twist to that option. You're still bowling with 2 teams on the pair, but no cross lane. So in my example, the odd lane, I'm down in the bowlers area, and I'm only going to bowl on lane 1. The even lane, I'm going to be back at the concourse at a table that's been assigned to me, and I'm only bowling on lane 2. There's no cross lane, so there's no opportunity for people to mix and match and have that cross lane where we might, we might come in contact closer than 6 feet from each other. That is perfectly within USBC rules, and it's a great option to maximize lanes. And again, it can just be temporary. Doesn't mean you have to do that the whole season there. Now, if you have capacity and you have limited, you've got limited league bowlers and a lot of lanes, this is what some of you are doing out there. You're conducting the league with 1 team per pair, where 1 team bowls on a pair of lanes and it's cross lanes just like normal. Again, may not be optimum for some, but that's what some are doing. Some of you are conducting the league with 1 team per pair, but the team only bowls on the odd lane, so there's no cross lane. Again, so if I'm on 1 and 2, my team bowls just on 1, 2 is dark. The other team would bowl on 3 and 4. They would just bowl on 3 and 4 is dark. So it allows me that spacing. Again, may not be optimal for you. It's not the best revenue management and use of lanes, but if you have the capacity and lane availability is not an issue, that may be a strategy that might make sense for you. And then I see a lot of this out there in the marketplace, skipping a pair between teams. So teams 1 and 2 are going to bowl on 1 and 2. I keep 3 and 4 dark. I have lanes 5 and 6 that are bowling on teams 3 and 4 are going to bowl on 5 and 6. Again, not perfect. We're leaving a pair dark, but at least I've got some spacing, and again, we're making people feel comfortable there. Creative option, split the league into an every other week league, where only half the league bowls each week. So especially maybe for my smaller centers, if you have a 16-team league and a 16-lane center and you just have to spread them out, maybe only 8 teams bowl each week. Again, not optimum, totally temporary. I need people to get back to feeling comfortable about bowling with me in league, and then I can move them to another format at the appropriate time. Now, a couple of thoughts on your wins and losses, for our competitive folks there that came about. When using any format other than your traditional league play, you might consider using what we call regressive scoring versus the traditional head-to-head. And here's what that means. Head-to-head scoring, if Team 1 bowls Team 2 and they have wins and losses and they share those points. In a regressive scoring, if I have 8 teams and they bowl, whether they bowl at different times, 8 teams are going to bowl in 1 week, my point total goes 8, 7, 6, 5, you go down there. So you're bowling against everybody in the league. So regressive scoring might put some people at ease, might be something that you try for a while to help level the playing field. Another idea, when using any format other than traditional, you might use the winning percentage. This allows your teams to join at any time, okay? Now you can overcome that objection with the league officer to say, no, we can put a new team in. This first third, we're going off winning percentage. Doesn't matter when they join. Let's just get people bowling. Let's get people bowling. So those are a couple of formats as far as the wins and losses. I've had a few folks that have even said, look, I've got that big 24-team men's league or that big 32-team mixed league. I'm just going to have to split them up. I might even do multiple days. I'm going to consider days maybe they don't traditionally do leagues and maybe get them on 2 or 3 days. And then even offering a discount if that league decides that they want to split those days there. Here's an idea, the Welcome Back League, and this sole intent is really just to get people back to bowling and get comfortable, right? This is not for everybody. These are not for the people that are going to come back no matter what. This is your low-cost, flexible, no prize fund. In fact, when I close today, we're going to share with you an idea, a concept that we think really fits into this Welcome Back that we hope you'll take advantage of, because it can literally add thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of bowlers across the country, and we need the help now more than ever. I'm going to close with that one with you there. This is a gold star. I love this one. Think retail. Think what some of the grocery stores are doing. Where we are down here in Texas, Kroger is one of our big brands. Now, my local Kroger, seniors can shop at private hours early in the morning, and it gives them a sense of comfort. They don't have to worry about other people being in the building. And this is a group that took that same concept and are now moving forward and offering this to their senior leagues. And I think it is brilliant. Because here's what it does. It gives your seniors a sense of safety. You're normally slow, or some of you have already altered your hours and you may not be open. And it allows that league to do what they want, how they want, and distance any way they want. And the optics, and I hesitate even using the word optics because it really is a good business strategy, makes you look like a hero. Imagine going to your Thursday senior league and saying, we're not going to open the building until noon. From 10 to noon, it is yours. And this is how we're going to protect you. And this is how we're going to take care of you. I think that is brilliant because this group is a group that is at risk. We should care about this group. We should be safe with this group. And besides being at risk, some of them may be leery about coming back, although I've heard some that their first one's back. But again, I think it depends on where you are in the country. Love, 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 love this idea here. A couple more. This one's a little controversial, so I want to be careful how I say this. This is not intended to be in any area of the country where masks are regulated. But if you're in an area that requires masks, you may think the whole world has to wear a mask. Right now, 2/3 of the country is not on any type of a mask mandate. And it's challenging for them to operate because some areas of the country, staff is not even required to wear masks. You may want them to, that's okay, but it's not mandated. So one operator is saying, hey, I'm going to offer a league for people that feel like they want to wear a mask, and I'm going to offer the no mask necessary league. And I want to cater to both groups. Might not be for you, but in some areas of the country, it may be something. But one of the resounding things is, you know, all of you shared with us, we hate being the mask police. We don't like enforcing this, but we've got to some level to keep people safe, depending on what our jurisdiction says we can and can't do. Now, league warm-up. I don't know about you, but when I bowl league, it's like a beehive where everyone runs to the ball return because you want to get up there and get your practice in, you know, before league starts. So you may want to think about a strategy that says, hey, during league warm-up, here's our on-deck sticker, just one bowler at a time up there. Be courteous, be cautious. You know, don't run up there like Bart does when he's doing his league warm-up and try and get in a half game before league starts. And then some centers around the country are actually taking the opportunity to run trios and doubles on first shift, when maybe that's a time that you wouldn't do trios and doubles because you wanted to maximize lanes and do 4 and 5. So that's an option. I see a lot of folks that say, hey, Bart, I can get up to about trios and then I'm not comfortable after that. So one or two more on this. Distancing accomplished through assigned seating for each team. Each team gets their own table and area to sit. And then you can consider signage. I've seen some that have signage. This lane, you know, this area reserved for team whatever. This table reserved for lane whatever. However, to signify that that's where your group is. That's your tribe. That's where you sit. That's the people you've chosen to recreate with, and they're the people you're going to congregate with. Now I want to share with you a couple of written examples here. I want to thank the Summit Group for sharing these. They'll be available on the presentation. But this is a league handout. These are the league rules for social distancing for this facility. So they have put in a couple of guidelines you will see there, even one about inherent risk. And then they've also given you a diagram. Hey, if you're on the odd lane, here's where you sit. If you are on no seating at this table, if you're on the even lane, here's where you sit. And we're going to keep on there. And they actually are doing a PBA style where you're bowling 2 frames at a time. And I thought that was really cool there. So this is a great visual and a great league example as well. And then one more, the verbiage is the same, but this is for one of their other locations that has a little different seating configuration. So they've taken that seating configuration, and you can see there where the odd lane, where you would sit, there's no seating on one side, and then the back table is for the even lane. So they print these out, they hand these to all the league bowlers during the league meeting. It's informative. It helps them understand what's taking place. I thought it was a very nice visual, and I appreciate the team there sharing that, share that with the industry there. So my final area is this, just a couple of safety and sanitation protocols as it relates specifically to league bowlers, and a few things I want to share with you there. So here's what we've learned, and you know this. Surface anxiety, which is what it all started out with, has really lessened. It's all about the masks now. And actually, this verbiage you see here on the screen is from the CDC. They recently announced that the virus is thought to mainly spread from person to person through respiratory droplets produced when an affected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, right? So it's all about the mask. And that idea of the surface anxiety has really lessened. There's been nothing in the media or nothing in the news lately about so-and-so caught the infection because they touched this, or they rubbed this, or they were next to this. What we're hearing about is they were in an area and they were close to this person there. Now, with that in mind, I want to share with you a very important point. While surface anxiety has lessened, Theater hygiene is a must. And let me explain what I mean by theater hygiene. It's important to keep things clean. You've always been clean. Your facilities were clean, and we were doing a nice job sanitizing when it wasn't a thing, right? But now it's what we call theater hygiene. It's a must. And I want you to think about the food business. This is my analogy, and I hope it will make sense. And I know I'm going a bit long, but I want to share this because I think it's important. We eat with our eyes. So half of the battle in food sales is if I come up with a product for you and it looks good, guess what? It's going to taste good. Right? I remember, my wife saying, well, why don't you try it? I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't look good, and so because it doesn't look good, it doesn't taste good. Let's transfer that to what I'm talking about with theater hygiene. If I see you cleaning in your facility, guess what? You must be clean. You must be germ-free. There must not be any virus here. That's theater, that's hygiene theater. We were doing all this hygiene theater before guests arrive and after they left. Now we got to do it in front of them. So it's still important, but it's lessened, and it's that visual now. It's that hygiene theater. We got to keep it top of mind. And as a reminder, I want to let you know, we have put together a tremendous amount of resources and digital and print that you can use in your facility to remind people what you're doing, and it goes to supporting that hygiene theater. So we have a campaign called Safe, Sanitize, Ready to Roll. Again, print digital assets. I've seen some of it around the country and on some of the TV interviews. If you're not familiar with this, first time you're seeing it, go to BPAA.com. Click on the Reopening Resource Center, and you can download and print all of it. It's there for you as a member. BPAA.com, Reopening Resource Center. I'd encourage you to look at that. There's 2 campaigns. The second one is more marketing focused. You can see this is less about the team member, the employee, and what they're doing, and more about the guest, but there's that subtle message, ready for some good, clean fun. We're talking about clean, we're talking about fun. So there are a couple campaigns there for you to use with the whole idea of helping you reinforce this thing called hygiene theater. Now, a couple of safety options that go into the format of leagues, but I want to share with you. Some of you are limiting the guests during league play. Some of you are even going as far as not allowing any non-league bowlers to attend. You've got to make these league folks feel like they're priority one. I love this one, and this is a good one, not only from a guest experience, but also from a revenue standpoint. Provide lane-side ordering on all food and beverages, as well as lane-side delivery. This will minimize the traffic and congestion, plus I promise you, your food and beverage sales will go up. As a league bowler, after I'm done with my turn, if I'm thirsty or hungry, first thing I do is I look over to the bar line or the snack bar line and see how long it is. And can I place my order and get back before my turn? So if I know that you're going to take care of me and come down and take my order, then sales are going to go up. So this is a great opportunity for you to test lane-side service, do it under, take this lemons, make some lemonade, and I promise you your F&B sales will grow there. And one of you shared with us that if the lanes are greater than 75% full of league, you've made the decision that you're going to close to the public to make that group feel safe. Again, not for everybody, maybe for you there. Now, you want to have a plan in advance of how you're going to handle if, or dare I say when, a league bowler tests positive for COVID. Now, you don't want to think negative, but you've got to have this plan in place. What's going to happen when that happens? What am I going to do? This should be a written plan. It should be available to all staff on what the expectations are of them and how every staff member is to respond when this happens. Now, some of you have reached out to us and said, do you have any templates? Do you have any samples? The quick answer is no, because this is all new territory. So I hope that in the chat feature and the question feature, I hope you're sharing some things on Facebook, because this is all new ground, new territory for us. What I can share with you is this, because these are 2 things that come up, and all the learning we do is best practices we share with you. We had an operator in a center that will remain nameless that during the summer actually had a league bowler that tested positive, and the bowler did the responsible thing. They notified the team and they notified the league and the center right away. They were asymptomatic. They didn't know they had it, but they felt an obligation when they did find out they had it to notify them. That center quickly developed a policy, and their policy was that the team, that individual and the team they were on, needed to remain out of the center for 14 days. They couldn't make them self-quarantine, but they wouldn't allow them to participate in league for 14 days. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I just share that with you as an example, because we literally are making this part up as we go, right? So you've got to determine what is your protocol when a league officer or a league member notifies you that, hey, so-and-so didn't know it, they were with somebody and they tested positive. What are you going to do? The other part is from the staffing part. What are the expectations if I work for you? You know, you don't want me going on social media and posting to my friends, hey, whoo, tough day at work. You know, one of our bowlers had COVID and man, that's kind of scary. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. So as a staff member, you have the right to tell me what I can and can't say in relation to, you know, things that happen at work. So what is the policy for that? I wish I could have something to share with you. If we did, we would. You know, as we learn and we grow together and we have examples, we'll put that together and share it. But for now, we are somewhat making this up as we go. So I hope you're sharing some examples now as we move through there. Assigned team seating during league play. You're providing that lane side service. Delivery and movement is a minimal. Here's one that was interesting. This group is actually taking temperatures of all league bowlers when they arrive. And I asked them, well, how did the league feel about this? They loved it after they understood it and saw the value of it, because they knew that at least on that night, nobody was there with symptoms and nobody was bowling with a fever. Again, may not be for you, may not be right for you, but for them, it absolutely was part of the protocol there. And then my last one is that the manager signs a place card on each lane, manager owner indicating it's been sanitized before league play. So a couple of last things I want to share with you on this topic of mask here, and then we'll wrap up there. These aren't all really clear to read. I apologize, but I've got copies of copies, so I just want to share these with you because as this whole idea of mask is coming up, I want to make sure you're communicating something with your guest. So this one from Premier Lanes, and again, this is a copy of a copy of a copy, so theirs is very professional. But what I want to share with you is, I'm going to read it to you. It says, face coverings are required when you're entering or walking around, walking in line for purchases, in this case while bowling and while playing the arcade. And then face covering not required when you're actively eating or drinking. So that just tells me if I come there, what the expectation is, what we can do there. The other one is this whole Four Seasons. You can see they've got some examples there. In theirs, when you're at your assigned lanes or your table side, mask is optional. Again, your local ordinances will come into play, but it's totally up to you there. A couple more I'll share with you there. Here, you've got to wear the mask when you're in the building, but not while you're bowling, not while you're drinking, not when you're kind of coming to and from. Here's an example from Park Lanes. Again, their copy is much, much better. This is a copy of a copy that I have here, but it gives you the areas that you have to wear a mask and that you don't have to wear a mask there. Now, this is my marketing one I threw in. This is an extra. It's not really from, this is actually from an email I received from an area of the country that the masks are getting some pushback from guests. So they have a program, BYOM, which is bring your own mask. And if you bring your own mask, you get a free $5 fun card. They have a game room. They feel like for every $5 game card they give away, they get an extra $10, $15 in revenue. And this is just to help league guests, casual guests. Hey, just come see us, bring your mask, BYOM, and just to help with the transition there. Great idea. I thought I would share that. And then one last one here. You can see this bowling center has a nice signage at the center there that tells them when they have to and when they don't have to wear a mask there. And again, that's going to really depend on your area there. So my last thing I want to share with you, and then I've got 2 slides and we'll let you go there, coming right up on the hour mark, is our Go Bowl in America program. And this is kind of that welcome back league program that I shared with you here. So first I would like to thank the League Development Committee. They've been working tirelessly to help put this together. This really is a partnership with Brunswick, Classic Products, Strike 10, and BPAA. And this really is your traditional have-a-ball program. Now, I got an email last night from a wonderful new owner that doesn't come from the bowling world. It says, what's a have-a-ball program, and what does that mean I get a free ball? Well, very quickly for my newbies, what we're doing is we're taking the price of the ball, we're building it into the weekly fees, and it is an added value for participating in the program, no matter how long that program is. So it's positioned as a free bowling ball for participating in the program there. And if anybody is new, you can jump in and ask questions about have-a-ball leagues and league programs. Sometimes we use that jargon, we think everybody knows about it, but they don't there. So I just want to show you real quickly this. We have, in this partnership, the bowling ball is available to you that you can pass on then to the bowler for only $39.99. and that's a minimum order of 12 balls. So basically it's called $40. You spread that $40 out over the number of weeks. So if you're doing a 10-week league, you know it's $4 a week, whatever you want to recoup. Now, the reason I like this program that's different from some others is that when we do traditional have-a-ball programs, which are great, they're very successful, we kind of determine the program. It's 8 weeks for $8 and it targets kids, or it's 10 weeks for $10 and it targets families. In this one, we've opened it up where you control all of the elements. It's totally up to you. And the other thing about the have-a-ball programs is typically it's a plastic ball. You want the cheapest ball possible. You just want to put 3 holes that fit into a new bowler's hand and get them bowling. This is different. So here's quickly specifics. We've got 3 different sets of creative that we have lined up for you. One is for kids that you'll see. We've got one for families. And then we did a set of creative for young adults. So you get to decide who's your target group. Kids, families, young adults, you build it in. You decide the number of weeks. You do 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 14. It doesn't matter. You figure that out. You decide the cost. So you have complete flexibility. The only thing you have is a $39.99 ball that includes the shipping that you build into the program. Divide that by the number of weeks, decide whether or not you want to include drilling, and let's get more people bowling. And because this is a reactive ball, it's not necessarily just for new bowlers. It could be for the bowler, the occasional bowler, the recreational bowler, the occasional league bowler, your middle league bowler, and they need a new bowling ball. Let's get a new bowling ball in people's hands that's not just a plastic ball. And look, at $39.99 including shipping, all of the people that have stepped up to the plate for this, Brunswick, Classic, Strike 10, BPAA, that doesn't cover it. There's a subsidy. Your industry is subsidizing this to get bowling balls to you to be able to bring to market and do. So the last thing I'd like to point out on this is you have 2 options, okay, because we don't want costs to stand in the way. You can order the kit. And if you just go to stemarketing.com/America, that's the website for the kit. You have 2 options. You have to register your center, so you qualify for the pricing on the bowling ball. You can choose the digital kit, which will give you all of the elements, and you can go it on your own. You can do your own printing there. But if you want the kind of marketing kit in the box, you can do the physical kit that we'll send you for only $149.99 on there. So it comes with the stand-up that you may have seen. We've got table tents. It comes with, I want to make sure it comes with this full standee, a banner, a 6x9 banner. Comes with 9 of the posters, 3 of each of the target markets, 3 family, 3 of the young adults, 3 youth. Comes with the tabletops, the 5x7 tabletops, 25 of those, a counter card, which looks awesome, and then 750, there's 250 each of the flyers, and they're a 2-sided flyer that you then can customize with your information. And you'll see there's 6 different bowling balls to choose from. You can put your center information, your specifics about the league, and they're ready to go. So it comes with 750. And again, we're not trying to sell you anything. I know you can't print a 6x9 banner, a standee, 9 posters, 750 flyers, all of that for $150. So, if that's something for you, if you'd rather have the turnkey kit that you can do, you can go online and order that. And again, not trying to sound like the ShamWow guy, but to start out with, because we weren't sure what the response was going to be, we printed up enough supplies for 300 kits. So we've got enough for 300 of the physical kits we can assemble and get out to you immediately. If there's enough demand, we can do more. But for now, that's what we have to work with. So I hope you'll go to the stmarketing.com/America and think sincerely about using that program for your center, because it could be powerful. So I want to close where I started, and that is, it's time to take back operating control of your leagues. You own the playing field. Partner with those league officers, love on those league officers, treat them like family, like VIPs. But if anything, COVID has taught us that we need to get involved with those leagues to a deeper level and a greater level than ever before. If you have any questions that maybe we weren't able to answer or we've set aside, we'll make sure we get back to you. We appreciate that in doing that. I want to close with this. I'm an optimist. I believe that our 5 states that aren't fortunate enough to have bowling right now, I believe that you'll be open before end of the year. I hope and I pray that's true. If not, we'll be ready for you when you are. But for the rest of us, I close with this. your center is perfectly positioned to provide your leagues a safe experience. I sincerely believe that. You are safe, you are sanitized, you are ready to roll. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope it was some helpful information for you. Stay strong. God bless.